Hey, good morning, South Park. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Hopefully, everyone had a nice, wonderful Monday. It was a nice. Hopefully, everyone got out in the after schoolwork in the evening and afternoon and got some exercise. Hey, for homework, I asked you guys to read pages 89 through 93. It talked about a renewable resources. Those were the forests and their fisheries. A couple words I definitely wanted to go over. Clear cutting. When you are a logger, loggers are the type of people to go out and cut down the trees. You have two methods of logging. You have clear cutting. Whenever you clear cut, if you can imagine a whole entire hillside, you just take out every tree that you can physically see. You might do an area on the side of a mountain. I'm actually seeing it out in Oregon and Idaho, where they've had a whole side of a mountain, and they take that mountain, they split it up in four. So it'd be part A, B, C, D, and all of part A is logged. And it might take them 2 or 3 years to log all part A. They replant the trees, then they go on to part B, part C, part D, and they work their way around the mountain. That is clear cutting. Now, clear cutting is very, very effective when it comes to money. It is the cheapest way to log. There's clear cutting and selective cutting. Clear cutting is cheap, it's fast, it's easy, and a lot of companies like to do that. The type of tree that they will clear cut is if you go down to Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, they'll do a lot of southern pine. Out west, it's Douglas fir. Those are the type of trees they like to clear cut. And if you ever have the opportunity after this video, go to YouTube and just type in clear cutting. And there's these machines, and they're called buncher machines, and they have like a giant spinning saw on them, and they'll grab a whole entire log, it'll cut it, and it'll be 3-4 sizes or 4 sizes times the size of a telephone pole, and they'll have that tree cut down in 10-15 seconds. And that's how quick and that's how effective clear cutting is. The other type of cutting that we were talking about, those are my neighbors, the Burkses over there. The other type of cutting we were talking about is called selective cutting. Now, selective cutting is better for the environment, but it's much more expensive and it's also much more dangerous. Whenever you do selective cutting, you would go in and take trees of different sizes and different ages, so you don't have a whole entire mountainside empty. When you clear cut, say if there was 100 trees and you're going to take all 100 trees. When you do selective cutting, instead of doing all 100 trees, you might do 45 or 50 trees. So you always have a yield, or the next group of trees you could log time and time again. Selective cutting is better for the environment. Clear cutting is worse for the environment. Hopefully you read and you could see and learned about the differences between those two. Next word I would definitely want to look at is the word sustainable yield. Sustainable yield is you want to make sure that you always have some for the following year. So say for instance, if you are a logger and you can go out and you can cut, let's say if you have 100 trees, we're just going to use that number for example. Let's say if you have 100 trees, if you go out in 2020 and cut down all 100 trees, what do you have to cut down in 2021? Nothing. Then you're out of a job and you don't have money. So what you want to do, instead of cutting down all 100, maybe you cut down 30. You have 70 left over. You plant new trees for the 30 that you cut down. The following year, 2021, you cut down another 30. So you're constantly replacing. You always have a sustainable yield, which means you always will have more and more and more and more and more. What happens is companies and individuals get greedy and they just want to get it all at one time and get all the money at one time. And then there's not enough for the following year, the years after that. And that's what happens when you do not have sustainable yield. Sustainable yield, make sure you look at page 91. it talks about sustainable yield when it comes to forestry. Also, the same thing happens when you're looking at fishing. Certified wood, at the bottom of page 91, there is an organization that stamps wood to make sure any type of lumber that comes to Lowe's, Home Depot, Brookside, 84, that wood was logged, responsible, and it was replanted. So if there's a tree, for every tree they cut down, they want to replant 3. Out of those 3, 2 are going to make it. One's not going to make it. So there's always more and more trees that are replaced. When it comes to fisheries, a fishery is just a large area with valuable fish. Now, all this you're going to have some homework tonight. It's not too much. You're going to have to answer a couple problems on your study guide. Now, there's 4 ways to make sure that fish will always be there for us to harvest, for us to catch and eat. Those 4 methods are fishing limits, which limits how many fish you can catch in a day, how many fish you can catch in a month, how many fish you can catch in a season or a year. That's kind of like sustainable yield when it comes to logging. There's also fishing methods. Fishing methods talk about ways that you can responsibly catch fish. Hang on one second. There's my baby girl. Oh, what's up, babe? Wait. I'm on the lesson. What's the matter? Nothing. All right. So fishing methods are how you can catch fish responsible. When you have these fishing nets, people don't realize they might be 4, 5, 6 miles long, and yeah, you're going to catch the type of fish that you're going after, but also you might unfortunately catch tuna, shark, whales, sea turtles. So you want to make sure that you do things responsibly. Aquaculture is actually, if you think of like a farm for beef, or a chicken farm, or a hog farm where you're raising pigs, the same thing happens. But when it comes to aquaculture, you'll start fish off, and you might have tanks. It might be, if you would think like a Heinz field, like a football field, it might be 3 tanks that size. And the small tank, the fish can swim. Once they get so big, they can't swim back. Then that's tank A. Then tank B is once fish get so large, and it moves on to tank C. This is a way that you can do a lot of fishing without being in the ocean. Now, believe it or not, aquaculture is huge in the states of Arizona, New Mexico, and Nevada. It's a lot of sunshine, so the sun, you always have the clean water, and you don't have to worry about the climate that much. You always have a constant temperature. Now, the funny thing about aquaculture is if you have a whole bunch of fish in one area. Now, without being disgusting, if you have a whole bunch of fish in one area and you're feeding them, eventually they got to go to the bathroom. So what you have to do is they would have to clean the bottoms of the tank. So in came this new fish. Now, in the South, Mississippi, they would raise a lot of catfish. Louisiana, they would have fish farms where they would raise a lot of catfish. And instead of feeding the fish, what they did was they got a fish that would actually clean the tanks. Believe it or not, they would eat the poop from the other fish. Those fish are called tilapia. And that's how tilapia became popular. It's a fish that was from Southeast Asia, and they were used to clean fish tanks over there, and they were bottom feeders. But they are a nice clean fish, meaning it's a nice white fish, and it doesn't have much taste. So the American farmers brought them over here, and now when you're a fish farmer, you're raising the fish that maybe the catfish. And then when the catfish go to the bathroom, you're cleaning your tank by using a tilapia. So now, as a fish farmer, you have two fish you can harvest. Your catfish and your tilapia. That's how it happens. And also you have new resources. When they talk about new resources, they're talking about different fish that you can harvest. So it's not always the same type of fish. For instance, tilapia was a fish 30 years ago no one ever ate. No one even ever heard of it. Now it's a popular fish because it's cheap, it's easy, and like I said, it's clean, and it's a good tasting fish. All right, so hopefully you read last night. Now, for homework tonight in your study guide, I want you to do section 2, forests and fisheries. It's letter A, forests contain, letter B, trees and other plants produce. So from Roman numeral 2 down, you need to do that page, and you need to do basically 2 pages. Then it goes on the letter E, logging methods. It talks about clear cutting, selective cutting, sustainable yield. Talks about certified wood, fisheries, and the 4 different ways that you can make sure that fish will always be a sustainable yield. Hey, on Tuesday, Mr. Monahan and all the teachers will have a video meeting, so I'm sure there's going to be some more information coming out. I'm glad to see everyone's checking in. I think the last couple of days I've had over 120 people check in on the YouTube channel, so I'm loving it. Once again, any problems, you reach out to me. You understand me? Make sure that you have enough to eat. I know there's some families that are going through some tough times. If you're one of them, reach out to me. Mr. Sokobi and myself will always be here to help you. If you need someone to talk to, if you're stressed out about this situation, please email me. I'll give you my phone number. We can talk about it. If your parents are stressed out, they can even talk to me. So, hey, I'm getting ready to go. I want everybody to have a nice day. Unfortunately, it looks like it's going to rain the next 2 or 3 days. Get your work done. I've said all the time, make sure you get your math done, your English done, your social studies done. If you're having a hard time, email that teacher. If you're kind of intimidated to email them, please email me. You know, I talk to them all the time, and we do what we can. If you think you are having too much work, email the teacher. If you think it's just too much to do, email your teacher. All right, listen, I'm getting ready to go. Stay safe, stay happy. You need me, reach out. I'm always here. As always, go Eagles. Bye-bye, South Park.